All right, all right, all right. What's up, everybody? Christopher Riggs with Texas West Capital coming at you live here just a few minutes after 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on Friday, the 15th of March, 2024. Coming at you live here from just north of Houston, Texas. How are y'all doing? Are you feeling all right? Are you feeling a little worried? Today's title, of course, is have we changed? Did we just change our minds about Bitcoin? What do you guys think? Did we change it? I've got Fibble on here in just a minute, guys. We'll be bringing him on. He's going to let us look at some of his charts, talk us through what he's thinking and what now. That's right. H-Town in the house. Beans and rice for me says, what's going on, Mr. Jose Sanchez and Pete and Data -3. Revy. Who else is here? Andrew Bennett. Sats McGee. Always good to see you guys here. Revy says, we definitely haven't changed our mind. This is the Plunge Protection Team broadcast. You guys are great, man. So anyway, again, we had a pullback here, right? So we did just have a pullback from about, what were we at there? Around almost 74,000 down into about just below 66,000. So this pullback is about 11%, right? The recent pullback we had before this was on March 5th. That was like a 2-day pullback right there. That was a bit more at around 14.5% or so. And so people start getting worried, right? I've seen, believe this or not, you guys probably have too if you're on social media. We're seeing people out there going, oh my God, this is the top of the cycle. I'm going to tell you why. This is the top of the cycle. And I think that's silliness, guys. I think that's silliness, okay? What we are going to see is a lot more of this volatility. So be ready for it, okay? Be ready for the volatility. And we're going to get these, 10 and 15% pullbacks and 20% pullbacks. And they're going to be pretty quick a lot of times. But that's the nature of what's going on here. Now, remember, people say, okay, well, with all this ETF buying coming in, what's going to go on if there's only so much Bitcoin freely available out there? What's going to happen with that? Well, guys, at the end of the day, there are buyers at all price levels, okay? And people can talk and say, oh my gosh, I'm never going to sell, or I'm not going to sell until it's at this certain point, right? But you'd be amazed at what other people and yourself are going to do when price comes up. I always say, I'm not going to sell. I don't have any intention of selling. But I'll tell you what, right now, if somebody came at me and said, hey, I'll give you $1 million a piece for your Bitcoin, here next year, something like that, I may. I'd like to think I wouldn't, but I may. I'm emotional. I'm still a human being. It's just that as you trade, guys, you learn to become less. Well, I'm not even sure that you learn to become less emotional. You learn to deal with it better. That's probably the best way to explain it. So don't think that people that have been trading a long time just are unemotional completely. We still get emotions. We're human beings. But we've learned to deal with them. We've learned how to notice when they're happening. And then we have experience with the systems that we use. I'm going to bring Fibble up here in a minute. And of course, you guys know he uses his way of trading, which he calls threshold theory. And he's been doing it for years. And so he's used to it. He believes in it. He trusts in it. And that makes it easier not to let your emotions get out of control, right? But I don't think that we're anywhere near the top at the moment. I think we've got higher for longer, quite a bit higher. But we'll see. We'll go on here. So let's go ahead and bring up Fibbo. There he is. What's going on, man?
What is happening?
You doing all right today?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, here real quick.
I'm emotional too.
Real quick here, guys. Notice the shirt that Fibbo's wearing there. It says Boeing, and it's got Fibbo on there. He's working with a friend of his. He does not get any money from this. I don't get any money from this. But a friend of his over there at styledpigeon.com is selling those t-shirts. And if you want one, jump over there and grab one, guys. Okay. Doing our best out to help other people with some things they're doing. So
yeah, I made the shirt and threw it on his site because he's a buddy of mine and help him out a little bit. But I've been doing this for a long time with my paid group, and I'd say about 3 or 4 years ago when the market started going, every time it would rally really hard, I'd be going boing, and it just caught on. Everybody loves it. So I'm like, yep. So that let's get some more Boeing. So I thought I'd wear it today, not as a luck factor because I don't need luck in the markets. Just a little bit more like, well, maybe we can get something going. Maybe get some buying interest going based on the Boeing shirt. So hopefully,
Yeah, exactly. So there you go, guys. We
it's
can
good
do that.
times.
Mark says, "Where is the long money shirt?" Yeah, I'm working on those guys. I almost had them about a month ago, and then got sidetracked. They
what
should
shirts?
be out pretty quickly here, guys.
The what shirts?
The long money shirt. I like you. I have a thing. I would say, I'm not bearish or bullish. I'm just long money. In other words,
Nice.
I'm out there
Yeah,
seeking profits, right? And
exactly.
so,
Nice.
yeah, so I've been meaning to put that out there as well. So
Let's
we'll
do
be
it.
doing that. Definitely not Boeing, new type trader. Definitely not Boeing.
Nope.
I've got a
Boeing.
couple of flights I'm supposed to be taking pretty soon, and I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm kind of nervous about that. I'm checking to see if we're going to be
Yeah.
on
I don't
Boeing
want to go that route. Let's not do any Boeing anything.
All right. Well, hey, Mr. Fibbo, let's go ahead and start off. You got Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, that's what I got up on my first chart here. If we can,
let's see what we
we can go
got
ahead
here,
and go ahead and
man.
start it there. Yeah,
Walk us through
talking
it.
about emotion, it was kind of interesting because I put out a quote on Twitter today, just real quickly. I put I I said you must discern precisely when to step back, accept defeat, and resist the urge to let anxiety deceive you into attempting once more. That was my quote for this morning. Um, and it kind of flows into what's going on here, with the Bitcoin and stuff, because I follow my system, and my system tells me to do certain things at certain times, and sometimes you just have to accept that defeat, and right now the 4 hour has went into the bear zone, so we have been slightly defeated a little bit on this move to the downside, but since my system tells me to get out, I went ahead and got out. I didn't say, hey, I'm just going to ride this thing and hope that it rallies back. I gotta respect the bear zone in case we get a little bit more of a correction to the downside, right? So you just got to be kind of prepared on that side. So, but the way I'm approaching this at the moment, and it gets a little confusing because there's a previous shallow fib back here at 61,250 that that's been a long term uh, shallow fib for me that's never really broken down. So that's really kind of my line in the sand for any longs that I have on the 4 hour. If it gets back below that level, that's going to be my stopping point of getting out, because I think that would be the red flag for me that this thing could correct a lot harder and further. But I mean, we are a long way from there. There's still a lot of ifs if that's going to happen or not. But right now, what happened is uh, we broke into the bear zone, and this 38.2% level here at 7902. You needed 3 consecutive settles underneath that once it went into the bear zone to signal the actual to actually sell your long on there. And unfortunately, and this happens sometimes, it went down and had a second one, and then we had a green candle that popped up on that third one just to kind of screw you just a little bit, just a little bite. And then it resets, and then you need 3 consecutive after that. And then we had this long one to the downside. We had a little bit of green candle, and then we had this one here. So you got out at about where I'm I'd say probably right around 60, probably about 68 or so, that you got out. Now, depending on where you've been on a lot of these longs, what I did was I had 30% long on my model. So what I did was I got out of everything but 10% of it. And the reason that I've held that 10% to keep some exposure is because we're above this previous shallow fib. So that's because I've been playing this for a long time and just following the system as it goes. If you're new and just got into the system, then you would have been long in this bull zone, and then once you got out at about 68, you probably would have been broke even, maybe a little bit of a loss. But that's what I'm talking about, is like, since the model's saying to get out, um, and of course it comes down to risk tolerance for each individual, right? Because some people might be able to hold on a little bit longer, or those kind of things. But I follow my system, and I got out of my stuff except for 10%. And then what I'm waiting for uh, is the downside here. The first spot that people will likely buy, if you're uh, following the system and this is your first bull zone, bear zone kind of thing, the first spot you're going to want to buy is inside this zone here. So if we drop down into between 62.9 and 64 here, this level right in here is right around 63.2. And that will be that first level that you would consider buying while in the bear zone. So as we start to correct back, that's going to be the level that you're going to look for. For me, since I'm already long, I'm actually going to wait for the previous shallow fib and I'll buy at 61,250-ish area. And then I'll go long there and add to my position. And then if it gets below that with 3 settles underneath that level, I'm out and then we'll reestablish and go back to the drawing board. But that's just the 4 hour. The 4 hours kind of, dicking around with us here for a little bit, but not too much going on on other time frames. So, your question of the show was what? Is it time to get out or time to short?
Have we changed our minds about Bitcoin?
Yeah, no, I have not changed my mind about Bitcoin at all. Because then when you start going into the other time frames, you can see here we're still well into the bull zone on the daily. Definitely, corrections are good and we need them. And the shallow fib here is around 62. 62 and change is where the shallow fib is at the moment. Now it can go all the way down to that shallow fib at 62. Because when you look down here, the bear zone threshold doesn't go bear until 57.3. So if it corrects back into that 62 area, that's going to be that first that area that you want to get back long or add to your longs for this. And the targets to the upside still remain. I still got 77.8 as that target to sell. And then if you get down to the shallow fib and add more, that next target's all the way up close to 100K on the daily because we're just getting into those extensions. Because this is where a lot of this comes from over here from these previous ones, 68.8 to 74.7. That zone hit in there. I missed selling because my order was up about 74 and so, but that's fine because I only have about 10%. I'm good to hold it. And I'm not gonna chase it, anything like that. I'm just gonna kind of stay with it. But here at 62, if you go back over to the 4 hour, if you get filled in at the 63-ish area and it gets close to that shallow fib on the daily and doesn't quite get there, you might be able to get your 4 hour fill in and trade that 4 hour and not the daily. But what I'm hoping to see is it going all the way down to this previous shallow fib. By that, I'll get my daily filled at the shallow fib at 62, and then I'll be roaring to go for the upside as long as all that support holds and the bull zone. And that's why I watch the zones, because if the daily is going to stay in the zone and it gets down here and starts to pop higher, then it's telling me that it's still bullish and we're going to still continue that direction. But we're looking at a little bit of a correction here. So it's not the worst thing in the world. I went out on X this morning and I was there for about 10 minutes and I'm like, I can't read this shit. It's just like everybody's like the sky's falling, everything's coming to an end. We're going back to 10K. I'm like, come on, it's 11% correction. Give me a break. You don't enjoy that whatever percent gain we've had lately. But there's I won't go into that. But then on the weekly, when you're looking at BTC on the longer term, one of the things I'm looking for is that third week, because I follow the extensions off of my model. 56 to 60.8 is that area to watch for a break, and then I want to look for a support and resistance flip. So right now, this 60.882 is that level that I want to see 3 consecutive weekly settles above. So I would like for it to kind of come back and correct back down to the 60.8 before it starts heading higher. But if I get that third settle this week, which we only have a few more days to do, and not that it can't drop back down to 60K by then either, but if it does, that's going to be that spot to where it flips to a support, and then that target that I have at 79.7 still remains in play, because the probability of breaking this and going to the 200%, it stays pretty high on the probability side. When you look back historically at a lot of the different thresholds that I've had to where it breaks the 141 and goes to the 200%. So when you look at that level at 60.8, it looks really good. If you get in here at 62 on the daily, and if you get in at 61.3 on the 4 hour, and this kind of comes down and kind of tags this and maybe bounces off of it, that's the perfect scenario that would be working for me, is to get that correction around there, get all those fills in before it starts taking up higher. So I have no signs of of shorting the market or anything like that. But if the model says to sell, then I'll sell and get out of the positions I need to sell, win or loss. I just kind of go with it and go from there. So that's my BTC look at the moment. 4 hours just kind of messing with us, and the 4 hours in that area right now that emotions are going to run the highest. Like it's going to be like, this thing's going back to 10K, or hey, this is a perfect correction and we're back to 100K, by halving, that kind of thing. Can either scenario happen? I'd say more likely we're going to be closer to 100K by halving versus 10K. Put it that way. I think I shouldn't even say 10K. It's more like 20K now, but and I still don't see that happening either. So structurally, everything looks really great, but the 4 hour, a little bit more shorter time frames will mess with you a little bit, but that's trading. So you got to get in and out when your model says so. So I'd love to see what you got on BTC there, Chris, because I'm curious to see your 4 hour, because I haven't had a chance to look at it. Been pretty busy this morning, so I haven't really checked about many other charts of people I follow. Put it that way.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm same way. My mind has not changed. This is just a local pullback right now. As a matter of fact, we had a couple of targets on the pullback. This was the one, the big one here was the hourly pivot. So basically, let me kind of zoom in here and then we'll talk about this a little bit larger one here. But basically, we rallied into the R1 pivot, pulled back to the pivot. That's a 50% retracement. This is a bunch of nonsense. It's a pain in the rear end to kind of count, but looking at it, suggesting maybe this is a 1 with an ABC down, ABC up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gives us this expanded flat. So right now, this is what I'm looking at. I would have loved to have seen the 4 hour get into oversold. And really, there's still some possibility. We could pull back into this wick here and maybe see the 4 hour RSI dip into oversold. I like the area we're at. The area I think you were looking at down here, would you say around 61, 62? That gets us right into this triangle area here, which is
that's where I'd be buying.
Okay, yeah. So that gets us right down here.
Yep, that's a good spot.
Yeah. And generally speaking, if I'm trading, if it gets there, I got you. Yeah. Generally speaking, if I'm trading pivots and I get a rejection of the R1 and it pops through the pivot, so it continues down through here, that S1 pivot area is generally where I'll be looking, and that's right there around 61.9 or so, 61.950. So just a little bit further up. It doesn't mean we can't get a wick down there lower, but generally looking for that to hold as support, get the rally back up to kind of confirm a continuation on it. But right now, for me, nice pin bar, almost a bullish hammer here on support. And so, as I'm looking at this, we've also got this hidden bullish divergence still here.
Point? My eyes are bad. Is that 65.9? Is that what that level is? The pivot point?
I'll tell you.
I can't see it.
I'll tell you what it is here real quick. It is 65.983 and 63 cents.
Okay. All right, cool. That's all right, cool. Sorry.
So I mean, for me, no, it's cool, man. But going from this swing low to this swing low, so we had a swing low into a swing high into a swing low. So that gives us hidden bullish divergence here on RSI. So now we just need some rally up. Now, because this is, Elliott Wave, if we're looking at this, what we need is a breakout above wave B, which just so happens to be the swing high, the all-time high, to kind of confirm that we're headed up higher. What I look for along the way is a breakout above wave 4 here, because if we break out above wave 4, then wave 5 can't continue to subdivide any lower, and that suggests that 5 waves are done. Now, if I've miscounted this, this could be 5 waves down. So this would be the first one down. We get 3 waves up, and then we continue down lower. But right now, I look for the breakout above this 4th wave down here. Oops, let me move this out of the way, which is 68, 861 and 10 cents. That's my first area I look at. And then wave 2 at 72, 419 and 71 cents on here. Those are my two targets to break out above. And then, of course, wave B up here at the all-time high at 73, 777 is the final one. Now, here's the thing. If we jump on out here to the daily, that daily Stochh RSI is almost reset. We've got the same hidden bullish divergence printing. We are still bullish above neutral. We're getting good wicks on these pullbacks, which shows demand. Again, 50% pullback. But when we look at this, if this holds right here as wave 2, my next target, my wave circle 3, this 1, 2, 3 is up here at 93, 891. And then that gives us the larger degree 1, 2, 3 up here at 102,170. So right, and I mean, if we look at this, here's the thing structurally, guys. I mean, until we're actually getting below this swing low here, this structure is fine. Higher, you get the higher high, higher low, higher high up here. You still have a higher low. So until we're actually breaking down below $59,005 on this chart, I wouldn't even worry about it. But here's my thing. Even then, all we did was rally just above the R1 pivot here. I would still be looking at the pivot. If we lose that swing low, I'm looking at the pivot down here at about 55,681 as my next target. And that's also this ascending channel resistance. So, I mean, there's nothing going on here, even a drop down here to 56 that would have me freaking out thinking, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Chicken Little crying with my, the sky is falling with my head, in my hands kind of thing. But it's just a simple pullback here, guys. And where did we pull back? We pull back. See this big candle here followed by this big candle back? This right here shows demand, okay? Because you got the pullback, it got stopped even though it went down lower here. So this area right here is demand, and you're getting stopped right in there and pulling back up. I mean, there's so many ways to look at this. Absolutely none of this is bearish at this time. Okay, guys? So I know, again, as I said at the beginning here, I know there's people out there right now talking about it, oh my God, it's the top of the cycle, and here's why. And a lot of emotional, oh, I'm shorting Bitcoin. I keep shorting Bitcoin for $30,000 now because I think, the stocks are topped and they're going to go crashing. And that's why I've been doing it. That's what other people are saying, not me. But, so when we're looking at here, guys, I think the big picture is no, there's no reason at all to be even the slightest bit scared at the moment or anything like that, or thinking that the sky's falling or anything like that. So, no, yeah, I mean, that's like, kind of where we're at there.
I like that. I like your daily pivot down there because on my daily chart, when you look at the bull and bear zone, it doesn't go bearish until 57.3. So you can get all the way down to that level and still maintain bullish structure and bounce off of that. Now, do we think it's going there just yet? Not. I don't think so because I don't see any internal indication that that's going to happen. But I mean, it is market, so anything can happen. But right now, when you use your indicators and trust your model, right now it doesn't show that happening. But I like that your daily pivot is matching up with my threshold with this latest bull zone. So it's not dollar for dollar, but it's dang close as an area to matter that matters.
Yeah, exactly. What you got on there, man?
I got a whole bunch of stuff, but just Ethereum real quick. Got a lot of people asking me about that. The same kind of thing on the 4 hour here. 4 hour went into the bear zone. And I did the same kind of thing. I can't remember how much percentage, but I left a little bit on the table because I'm watching this previous shallow fib as my line in the sand. Actually, if you got out on this, the 38.2 was right here. So you would have been getting out around this area right here on this green candle. So you would have got out at about 38 or so. If you were in this latest bull zone, you probably would have been about break even getting out. So, and that's fine because that's what models are for, right? To reduce your loss and just ride the trends and get your gains. But in this case, it kind of sold off a little bit and broke us back down into the bear zone. Now, the interesting thing is it came down and hit this extension level is that first level to buy. So if you ended up getting out at around this 38.72, you would have been buying back at 35.71, getting back long while in the bear zone. I did not, because I'm holding on to the 10% that I still have. And then my target is this previous shallow fib to buy more, just like we saw on the Bitcoin chart. So I'm approaching it the same way I'm doing Bitcoin, because the structure is about the same. But that's right now the 4 hour is the one that kind of broke down a little bit. So when you go into the daily, I don't know why that red line's there, but it is. The went into the bull zone. So we still got pretty good bull zone. The bear threshold for this is at 32.56. So if we get down to the shallow fib at 34.50, I'll add longs to my daily ETH with the first target that I still have, because I still have longs on here because it's still in the bull zone, and my first target was at 43.46. So that target still comes into play. If we get a buy here on the shallow fib, I'll look to see where the next levels are. But right now, baby steps. Let's get that first take profit target, and then we can go from there. But that's little bit of a correction going on in Ethereum and a lot of other things too. But the 4 hours are the ones that have broken down a little bit. So for me, the dailies really have to break down for me to start getting a little bit more nervous, I guess you would say, but not nervous to the point where I'm going to say the skies have fallen and all that kind of stuff, but enough to where, it's a red flag that, hey, we might need to respect these bear zones, because the correction could be a lot further down. But that's not happening yet. So let's just take baby steps, and hopefully we get that shallow fib bought and get higher targets from there. And I just threw the ETH weekly in here. It's been bullish. The shallow fib right now is at 32.03 if it wants to get all the way back there. But right now, I don't think that's going to happen too much, because I think there's a lot of buying interest that will come in basically at the bottom of this extension area here on the daily and into my shallow fib area, which is a little bit further down on the weekly. But I think there'll be some buying interest in here to hold us. And the fib extension target was the bottom here at this 127, which was the break point right at this area. And that actually hit before it started to sell off. So that's actually kind of good. So it's working the way it should. So I'd like to get the shallow fib bought. Now, I don't have any positions on the weekly. I use this as the, just like on BTC, if the weekly starts breaking down, then yeah, that's your time of like, yeah, we're going into a bear market, but nothing even remotely close to that on these weeklies. But that fib extension target hit by the shallow fib. If it gets there, and then the target is this 200% at 59.60, which is the 200% of breaking this level, which it hasn't done yet. But I like that the trend line target matches that 200%. So for me, the bullish structure is still there for ETH. And so any kind of longs that I have on these others, on my daily, that I kind of want to still hold them. And that's why I'm keeping 10% open on the 4 hour and taking a little bit more risk. Now I got out of the other 10%, but I'm still holding. I want to have some exposure when you have the daily and the weekly still showing structure that it could go much higher on that. So that's where I'm at on that. Do you want to show your ETH, or you want me to show a couple other charts? You're on mute.
Yeah, I was trying to make sure I didn't interrupt you there. Yeah, man, go ahead, show what you got.
Okay. Yeah, everything I was looking at this morning, gold, took profit on gold. I've been just waiting for the shallow fib at 21.34. So if it continues to kind of work its way back down there, I'm hoping that it would wick down into that area, because the bear zone could be coming up. We'll have to kind of keep an eye on that. But I'm not in gold at the moment. I've just been kind of waiting to see a nice correction back to that area. It's been, we've been getting the lower highs, so it might get there. We'll see. And that's on the 4 hour. And then on the daily, same thing. Target hit at the 200% rather nicely, I might say. But I just remember that was a good trade, and I enjoyed it because I don't really trade leverage in crypto. I'm a spot trader. But when it comes to my futures, that's, those are all leverage because you're using futures contracts that give you the leverage. So all my leverage trades are, on my futures contracts. And when you get a move like this, when you go into a bear zone and hit your target, it's a pretty nice move. So I'm just kind of waiting to get back on the shallow fib to start looking at some of these upside targets that if it starts to rally up and get above this previous high, that's where some of the levels are. 2263 and then 2420 is the next couple of levels. But first I need the shallow fib, and then again, if it doesn't get to the shallow fib and starts going up, three daily settlements above the 200%, which is right around 2200. If I get 3 settles above it, then I'll get back long and then get those other targets. But I'd rather get the dip to the shallow fib. But that's what I'm looking at on gold, so I'm just kind of waiting on that. Dollar is went into the bear zone. I just been waiting for the dollar just to kind of continue much further down. The first area I would even consider buying would be 101.59 to 101.92 zone right here, which it hasn't even gotten close to yet. We did get a little bit of a bounce here off of this previous low here. Came back down, switched contracts, went back up, but the bear zone's still in play, and ADX is dropping. So any of this move to the upside, I still think has moves to the downside, because the shallow fib in this example at 102.89 is kind of the area that you should sell it and continue the downside trend. I'm not playing the short side of the dollar. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the 200% all the way down here at 100.23 for my target to buy. Otherwise, I'm not even touching it. I don't even want to mess with it. So that's why I was just kind of waiting on that. So when you look at it on a daily basis, same kind of thing. We're in the bear zone. And we got this little bit of a pop up the last couple of days. But my targets are way down here, close to the $100 level or 100 level, and get that target bought. So I'm waiting on dollar because I still think we're heading lower on that. A couple other ones I have, the SPY contract. It's kind of testing the bull bear zone here. I actually bought in and sold it, bought it back, sold it again. It's been nice. I actually bought again at the shallow fib, so I'm a little underwater right now. But if we get into the bear zone and we get those 3 settles underneath, so if it actually went bear zone on this candle in the next hour and a half, I'd have to wait another 4 hours to see if it's going to hold or not, and then I'll get out. Little risky, I know, but because this is a little bit more on the leverage side of things, and a lot of times with my leverage, if I get close to targets, I'll go ahead and take the profit and not really wait for the exact target, because the money just sitting there is just too good to pass up sometimes. But a lot of times I'll run the model, perfectly on my spot trades. But when it comes to leverage, there's some guidelines that I'll have to take that are, it's risk management is what it comes down to, and everybody's going to have a different way of doing things with that. But I'm back long and hoping that we get back up to get to this next target, which is way up there. But we'll have to see if this is going to hold or not. And if it goes into the bear zone and I lose out, I'll lose on this trade. But the last 2 trades should cover me because when I look at my zones from bear to bull and all that, I really kind of measure what I'm doing in this particular bull zone. And I've had 2 good trades. So if I actually get stopped out and I have a losing trade, as long as those other 2 trades are more profitable than the loss I've taken, then that zone's that zone to me is a good zone. Even though that you might take a loss there on the end, at least you made some profit on the way up. So like Chris was saying at the beginning of the show, you follow your model, and I've been doing this for so long, so I know how to attack it, and not everybody else might see it the same way, and it takes some practice to kind of get there. And again, this model might not be for everybody either, but it might spark ideas on how others can adapt their stuff and get themselves profitable in different ways. And that's really what I'm doing all this for, and I'm sure that's what Chris is doing it for too. So that's where I'm at on that. If you look at it on the daily, that thing's just been rocketing. The next target's been way up there, and it hit this target at the 200% right here. So on this move to the upside, it hit nice. So we could be in a spot that we'll start having a much larger correction, and that 4 hour might be that first signal to tell you that if it ends up going into the bear zone before we start to crash here a little bit. But still bull zone. Bulls still seem to be in control. Might take a little bit to get there, but we've hit a couple targets on this one too. But I am not in on the daily. I'm only in on the 4 hour. Just with this latest buy here at the shallow fib at 51.92. And then stacks is another one I follow. I had a whole bunch of stacks on, went into the bear zone. I went ahead and got out. But the interesting thing is when I got out, it actually wicked down to my first target. So I'm actually back long again at 258. And while I'm in the bear zone, I don't have a target yet, but I will have one established here pretty soon. But I did buy back at that, and I'll actually buy again down here in the bear zone to kind of dollar cost average this. But my stacks trade because I trade in buckets, and the amount that I've allocated to that is pretty small. So I'm willing to take the risk on buying, even if it drops all the way down to here. It's not gonna break my bank or anything, or I have to, my wife won't yell at me. Put it that way. And then I got Solana. This one's been a great trade, and it's been working really well. We actually went up and hit the target at 180 right here. Actually dipped down, bought the shallow fib. It worked actually pretty nicely. So you're back long, and then the next target's at 190.170. There's been other trades along the way. I've just cleaned the chart up to be in the same bull zone that we're in. So it basically hit the target 180, bounced up. So 190.170 off of a buy at 165.26. Actually 165.50 is where I had it, because when it comes to my shallow fib, when it says 165.26, I usually kind of round up a little bit. I don't like to get it exact. So 165.50 is where my order is actually at. So when it comes down there and tags the shallow fib, then then you actually get in. Because a lot of times if you tag the exact price, you might not get filled. So I kind of rounded up slightly just to have that little bit of a wiggle room. So filled there and then waiting for that next target. So that's looking good. And then even on the daily's been just absolutely phenomenal. We went into this bear zone, but it really didn't go anywhere. It was just more of a consolidation and to just, this area consolidation before it popped back higher. But just like BTC, there's this previous shallow fib that hasn't been broken down yet on the daily. So I'm just continuing to ride this. And right now the shallow fib is at 154.68, but it just hit the fib extension target here as at profit. So it's actually above it, two daily settlements above that so far. So if we get 3 settlements, well, actually it's above the 141 at 176.83. So maybe we haven't. Yeah, we still have two. Today would be the second settlement if it got above that. So if it doesn't get back to the shallow fib, and we get a third daily settlement above this 176.83, then I'll buy back in, and then that next target at 246 would come into play. But right now, I'm out and I'm waiting for the shallow fib back at 154.68, which I would probably round up to 155 or 154.75 or something like that to get that shallow fib bought, or I'll buy at the market on three daily settlements above that to get that going. And everything's looking good. I mean, this one's getting a little bit overdone here, so getting a little bit overbought, but it's been up at this overbought a couple of times and barely dipped back and just continued this run. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a move back, and I'd like to get a move back and get the shallow fib filled, and then we can go from there. And then just a couple more.
Real quick. Yeah. Pibble, real quick. Jesse's got a question here. It says, yep. Could you talk about what you saw in Sol that led you to choose that altcoin to trade when you did?
I look at a lot of different ones, and I don't trade every single one of them at all. The majority, to be honest with you, a lot of people in my group actually looking at it actually drew me to it. And then when I apply my stuff and I do my charts because they request them, and I actually look at them, I think at the time it was a while back, so I can't remember exactly, but it's probably, when you look back at, uh, let me see if I can draw some stuff on here. If you look back at like this trend line here, as it breaks into the bull zone right here, and then it dips back, and then once it breaks this trend line right here, and then the ADX momentum actually starts to kick up, because this is where it breaks into the bull zone right here, and then it kind of comes up and kind of tests the red negative directional index. So it's really not a buy yet. I mean, you'll buy it on the bull zone as long as you're above the previous shallow fib, which you would have been, because this is a pretty shallow bear zone. So once this broke this trend line to the upside and had all this momentum, that's what really brought me into that. So to me, I'm really looking for the setups that when they go into the bull zone, especially on all these shit coins, is um, I want to see the ADX on a day over day basis build. I want to see a nice support hold on a trend line, on a break of a trend line, and hopefully we get a retracement back. Or you could even look at it this way, at the actual. You can look at this trend line too when it actually broke. So you would be breaking, and then it retested here. And then once this takes off, and this is the area that I would look at, is when that ADX goes from a negative move into a positive mood while it's still in the bull zone. That, and then beyond that, I didn't know it was going to go the way it did. It's just that's the first signal for me to get in, and then it just started going. And as you can see, the ADX just cranks for the bulls. So every scenario might be different, but that's going to be kind of the way I look at it. Is trend line breaks. Does it correspond with the bull zone break? Does it hold the support nicely on usually on a throwback to the trend line break is really where the buy is. But sometimes you can get in a little earlier if the threshold tells you to, based on the previous threshold. But I don't know if that answers his question, but that's the way I kind of tackle it. And I'm trying to go off memory because it was a while back, so I can't really remember exactly why I jumped on it. But I'm just kind of looking at it from a general sense of what I look at when I look at different entry points to get in. Because a lot of times, if you go into the bull zone, you're not going to get that nice move on the ADX to show that momentum. And if the shitcoin's not really showing that, I'm not going to trade it. And I might miss out, and it could be a false thing, and it just takes off. But that's fine. There's plenty of fish in the sea. I don't have to do every. If I did, I would absolutely go nuts because there's so many. But there's certain ones that, to me, if a lot of people are looking at it, and there must be a reason, and that's what kind of drew me to it. Just people on X showing charts, and then I can, once I go in and look at my stuff, if all the red flag or all the flags hit right, might as well try to take a chance, right?
Yeah.
But that's where I kind of look at it. So hopefully I answered his question.
I think so.
Yeah, a long-winded question, or answer, but because I don't know the exact answer of what happened at that particular time,
Yeah.
but I'm just showing a general sense.
All right, what else you got there, man?
Yeah, I got MSTR, MicroStrategy, another one that I've been looking at because a lot of people are talking about it. Went into the bull zone here, so it was a buy immediately because we had this little dip. You're well above the earlier one. I don't have it on here, but you were well into it, so you would have bought immediately at the market, probably around 638, and then that first target would have been at 1315. Which it went right up, kind of tagged right there, and then it worked its way down to the shallow fib. Or I don't know if it hit the shallow fib there or not. Let's see where it was. Yeah, I did. So when it actually hit the shallow fib right there, I bought back and then worked its way back up again. And then this target hit here as another sell, and now I'm flat, and now I'm looking at a shallow fib. Or again, if it gets 3 daily settlements above 1804, I'll reestablish a long. Because that would become support instead of resistance. And so that's the two things I'm looking at there. And then 1330 is where the shallow fib is at the moment. So that's where I'm going to be kind of looking to buy. And then the next target to the upside is right just above 2,500, which is pretty nice round number. I mean, it's 24.96 on the 200% as the next level. So looking good on MicroStrategies. BNB is another one that I started looking at because a lot of other people were looking at it. I wouldn't normally look at BNB because I don't really trade it very much, but it definitely went into the bull zone. Been working its way up, hit the target at 1612 or 1612 at 612, and then dropped back to the shallow fib, and then reestablished along at 556.10. And then the next target's up here in the 641 to 656 range. I don't have an exact target within there. You can kind of use the midpoint right around 650-ish maybe as that next level to take profit off the buy at the shallow fib. And then the next target above that's the 200% at 718. So everything working pretty well there too. Link actually went into the bear zone, so you're actually out of that. When it went into the bear zone, you were underneath the well below the 2167 shallow fib from this latest craziness. But we're short there. If you wanted, I didn't trade this, but your first buy would have been right there at 1862, which was inside this zone, because that's that first level that you want to look at. Because I always look at, I tell people, I always look at the 127 to 141 as that, even if you're in the bear or the bull zone, that's that first level to look at for support and resistance for a possible reversal off the move to the downside. Now, it got there pretty quickly from when we went into the bear zone, because it was, I mean, we went into the bear zone right here. So you would have not sold, but you would have got out at 1957. And then you would have been buying back at 1862. And then again, I don't have an upside target for this if it was bought there on this chart, but I'd have to figure out where that would be. Most likely it'd probably be up here in the 20s somewhere. But that's where it's happening at the moment. But the shallow fib's being tested. So actually for Link, this is a move to the downside. So my target to buy, I'm waiting for a 200% down here at 1656 or a new bull zone. So I'm kind of out on Link at the moment. So we'll kind of see where it takes me. Again, I'm not going to chase it. I'm going to let the market dictate what it's going to do, and then I'll get in when either down here or a new bull zone. So, and then last on here, I had INJ. INJ went into the bear zone here, and we're well under the 38.2. So if you were long on this, you would be getting out. And then my target again, it's this extension is that first level to look for. So when you look at this low within this realm, you're looking at 37.81 as a buy while in the bear zone for me. And then again, if it gets really, really crazy all the way down here at 30.23 before taking off, but I'm not in this anymore. I didn't trade it, but others in my group have. So they're probably out of it and waiting for downside target. But that's all the charts I've been looking at this morning. If there's anything else we want to look at, that's where I'm kind of at. So I know I'm going through these kind of quickly, but I know we're, kind of wrapped on time sometimes. So, or tight on time, not wrapped on time. But that's where we're at on
yeah. Hey guys, listen, if you haven't yet, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, follow me, TX West Capital there on Twitter, X, Texas West Capital at Facebook, Instagram, wherever else, Twitch, YouTube. Leave a comment. Be kind. If you're a jerk, just going to delete you, block you, I don't mind people having a difference of opinion, but man, people get on here sometimes. They just have the worst attitudes. And I'll tell you what, life's too short, guys. Listen, if you're dealing with that nonsense online, you're allowing it to happen. Don't just somebody comes at you like a jerk. Don't even give them a second chance. Just delete them, block them. It's fine, guys. You don't have to listen to somebody else says, "Oh, I let everybody comment." No, you don't have to. Because some people go out there and they were raised in a barn. They don't have any common sense. And you don't have to deal with it. Just letting you guys know, because mental health is such a big issue these days. So make sure that you guys understand that, right?
I actually like good feedback against what I'm doing sometimes, because it does open up, because there's a lot of times that I don't see certain things, and if others do, I think it's a great discussion. But you don't have to come across like, "Hey, dumbass, your target didn't hit."
Exactly.
Like that. Like that doesn't do good. Like just give me a reason why it didn't hit, and maybe I'll look at it or whatever. But I do like good discussion. I just just don't be a jerk, like you said. Just be nice about it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not
How do
going to
we
be
evaluate?
100% right. You're not going to be 100% right. You know, we're not robots here that are 100% correct all the time. You
Exactly.
know,
Exactly. Why risk
we're,
management is so
we're
important.
learning. We're learning.
Suma Fuzzy saying, how do you evaluate newer tokens like Jupe? I think I can speak for Fibbo here as well as myself. We don't look at all the fundamental stuff or whatever. We look at the charts, guys. You know, the way that we look at it, you know, I look at it a certain way. He looks at it a certain way. But we're technical analysts. We look at the chart because we both are of the belief that, you know, narratives form after price action. You know, and when you try to form them before you're going to be wrong a lot more. You're going to be right. Usually people try and form them afterward. But, you know, the news is always in the charts. In other words, you'll see usually, you know, if you're paying attention, you're not going to get about 100% time, but you'll see the, you know, the chart reacting before the news really comes in there. But real quick here, guys, I got a couple of charts here I'm going to show real quick here. Let me see here. Oh, my gosh, where did they go? I lost my charts. There we go. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Man, oh man. So let me pull it up here, guys.
Oh, you got it.
Oh, I got it right here. I had to find my charts. I've got
right, cool.
multiple, you know, screens up there. So I just had to try.
Believe me, I get it. I get it.
So real quick here, somebody asked about Ethereum, Bitcoin. This is the same chart I've been using forever and a day. This looks like a huge accumulation structure based on the price action and the volume here. This appears to be a spring, which means we should expect a rally up and through. Impulsive breakout above the weekly pivot here at around right around 0.06 or so. Impulsive break, so it means large candle spread, large spike of volume, you know, compared to what is locally. That'll signal that's likely the bottom there and we're headed up. If you want targets along the way, I would look right here at probably 0.0715. And then up here at the swing high around 0.0888. But ultimately, I'm expecting this to rally up here based on the height of this correction up here at around 0.01291. Now, this is the weekly chart here. So, you know, it'll take a little bit of time to get there, guys. But ultimately, that's where I'm looking at. BNB. BNB was the one everybody. So in this area over here at $330 back here at around May of 22, everybody's talking about how, you know, this was the end of BNB. This was the end of Binance. This was the end of CZ and whatever. You know, remember they had all the issues and then, you know, the court case and everything. And I took the other side. I said, no, I don't think so. I said, and once we dropped here and popped back up, again, this is the weekly here, right here around this 220, 225. I said, I think that's probably going to be the low there and, would expect it to come up. Told everybody again, I actually posted on Twitter. I said, wouldn't that be a shame? I think it was if we broke out above this 250 area here through this descending resistance. And of course we got that. Here we are up here at about 600. Of course, that comment was just meant because everybody was so absolutely crazy bearish on it. So, again, it's done extremely well there. What other charts do I have here that Mr. Mann there was bringing up? Real quick here, I have this Sol Ethereum chart here that I posted on, I just posted the wedge here on Twitter, but to me, it looks like it's a fifth wave coming up here. Minimum expected target of 0.07635. Secondary target up there about 0.09680. So it's looking good there. My Sol chart, remember, guys, I talked on the Wendy O show here on the 30th of December, 2022. It was $9 and some change. I said on there, I said, man, it looks like it's a good buy here. I gave an immediate $15 target. I said, if we hit 15, we'll go to 30. And that was the start of it. Here we are now at about 180. So that's actually been a really great run there. So I guess it's just about almost 20 times if you had gotten in back there and held. A lot of people got scared in here. This just became accumulation here, or it took off higher. You had reaccumulation right here. I don't see any reason why we don't hit at least 410, but I do believe we'll probably go pretty well higher than that. On the weekly, stochastic RSI is just breaking out above neutral. RSI is bullish. What was that?
You know what that's called?
What's called?
Boing. That's what
boy.
that is. Boing. That's a Boing chart right there.
Jojo Crawdaddy, what's up, man? What a name for right now, right? Everybody eating crayfish right now, Crawdaddy. Let's see. On your trading view charts, what is the vertical section off to the right that sort of looks like volume? Obviously, I see the actual volume at the bottom. No, it is volume. This is the VRVP indicator. It's volume by price level. So in this volume down here tells you the volume in time. It tells you how much volume happened, in this case, in a week, each one of these, okay? This one tells you on your screen here, the entire time on your screen, it shows you how much volume happened at each price level. And you can actually get in there to change it where it tells you. But what you're interested are these high volume nodes over here and these low volume nodes. So just a quick little primer on that. But yeah, that's volume by price level. So it tells you how interested is the market at a certain price level over whatever time frame that you're showing on your chart. So again, this is the weekly chart from back there around 2021 to now. So during all that time, it's showing you where the greatest volume was. And as you can see here, the greatest volume is right in this area right here. So that's what that is right there. Let me see here. Do I have any more charts? I've got, what did I want to show here?
Sideways histogram.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, here we go. This is Link. Whoops. Here, you guys have been following me a while. You know, we were talking about this as accumulation here. As we were coming down, I said we'd probably get a dip down to around $5 or so. I said if we hit that, that's a buy. I'm interested in that. It would print a spring, and that's exactly what we got. We got a spring, rallied up, last point of support, jump across the creek, reaccumulation. And so we got a good rally here off the weekly pivot into the R1 here. If we continue to aggressively rally through the R2, I don't see any reason why we don't at least reach the R5 at around $50 almost. But again, I do believe we're going to see a new all-time high on that. So, you know, again, if you got in there around $5 or $6 when I was talking about it, I guess you're up here about, about 300% on that. It's rallied about $20 so far. So it's been another good trade, you know, that we've had on there. So, the other trade, the only other trade I wanted to show you guys here real quick.
Yeah, I'm pretty bullish on my Link weekly too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that Link looks good. Yeah. PayPal here, guys. So if you all remember, right around this area, I said this was likely a bottom area here. It's right around $50. And I mean, almost perfectly nailed that bottom there. We're rallying up. If we can get out above this, I mean, I think this is the count right here. I think we've got a 1, 2, 3 of 3 up here at 75. That gives us that larger 3 up there at 82.5. But I really want to see a breakout above this swing high right here. So this swing high right around the R1 pivot there. And this is the daily chart. It's 64.90. So if we can do that, I feel pretty good about hitting 75 and then 82.5 and continuing higher there. But ultimately, this looks like a pretty good likely bottom here on PayPal. So we want to see that continually rallying up there to get us a lot more. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. That's what Fibbo's looking at. Hopefully y'all are doing all right out there. Y'all are trading safe. You know, I always say that at the end of the day, the only thing you control is how much you lose. Okay. So your risk management, however it happens to be, you need to make sure it's good risk management, it's real risk management, it's strong, because that is the thing that's going to save you from you. Okay. Because you're humans. We're humans. You know, we're going to make mistakes. There's no two ways about it. Fibbo's been doing this 20 years. I've been doing this almost 30 years, guys, 50 years between us. And both of us will tell you right now, we're never going to be 100% correct. We're always going to make mistakes. And so your risk management is actually what saves you from you. And I hope that makes sense, guys. Okay. The other thing I would suggest, just generally speaking in your trading, is that, hey, listen, don't enter a trade just because there's a chance. Okay. A lot of times you guys are out there and you're like, oh, it hit this level, so I got to go. Or you were shorting because, oh, it hit the 61.8. You know, That's one thing. It may reverse there, but until it actually shows you it does, you're really jumping out ahead. And if you're doing that as a trader, you're going to have a lot of time being consistently profitable. And that's the name of the game, guys. It's not about getting big, huge trades. It's not about never being wrong. It's about consistently locking in profits and having the risk management there so that when you do lose, you're not losing it all. You're right. You don't want to get 5, 10 trades correct in a row and then get one trade that wipes you out. But you all do that day in and day out, right? As new traders. I did it when I first started. I'm sure Fibbo did when he first started as well.
Nope, I was perfect.
You were perfect.
I'm just kidding.
but the one thing we learned, because we've done this for so long, guys, and we really sat down and figured out, listen, if we're going to be serious about this and be successful, we have to actually figure something out. And what we figure out is, you've got to protect yourself against the downside of your trade. You absolutely have to. It is about consistently locking in profits, guys, not some big 1,000% trade, because you'll get those sometimes. If you're around long enough, you'll maybe get them a few times, especially here in crypto. But that is not the common thing. You don't do that every day. What you get is you get your smaller trades. You lock in your profits over and over again, and that's what makes you profitable. And until you can get your mindset changed to that, you're going to continue to have a lot of problems because you're going to hold on to trades longer than you should. You're not going to get out when you should. You're not going to get in when you should. And life just becomes a lot more difficult. Okay? So anyway, that'll do it for us. You can jump over to members.texaswestcapital.com. You can join us there. You can join Fibbo's Threshold Theory there. We launched a new monthly subscription service for the rest of everything we do there, what I teach. And you can jump on that now. So, and if you're really serious, if you really want to get as good as possible, with a lot of help along the way, of course, you can jump in our group coaching. But those have different links. They're underneath the video, guys. You'll have to get those from there. But we got lots of different ways for you guys to learn. What you're going to find out, if you really kind of put it in there, we've got guys that are in both Fibbo's and mine. And what they say is, the great thing about that is that both of them really kind of support each other. Like, I'll say, here's a target, and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's Fibbo's same area right there, or a retracement or whatever areas that we're looking at. So it's a good way to kind of confirm even more so if you're interested in that sort of thing, right? But anyway, we got to get out of here, guys. I know Fibbo's got to go. He's got like a job that he does, that he reports to, that he actually enjoys quite a bit.
Yep.
But we are lucky that we get him with us here over at Texas West Capital as well. So be sure and follow Fibbo, man. If you're not, it's a Fibbo Swanee, right, on X?
Yeah. Fibbo Swanee on TradingView and X. Yeah.
All right.
But basically, Fibbo Swanee everywhere.
There you go, guys. Unless it's not him, because he does have some fakes following him out there. So
yeah, unfortunately.
But other than that, like we said, guys, at the beginning there, you can get a shirt like that, the Boeing shirt. Help his buddy out there at styledpigeon.com. And again, Fibbo doesn't get any money from that. I don't get any money from that. Just helping out a friend of his. So check it out if you like the shirt. I think they look pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a white one too. There's a white one too. So I like the orange pill people, because if I wear it out in public, I want it as a talking piece. Like, what the hell is that? Exactly.
Some people just have to be the center of attention. I'll tell you.
Not me. I actually don't like it, but I'll do it for this because it's kind of fun. That's what I'm doing it for. It's for fun. It's kind of fun to have stuff like that. But I want you gotta get your shirt out, dude. That'd be awesome.
I do. I know I'm so behind in everything here, but working on it. Hey, listen, guys. Also, real quick, if you're on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it these days, I do co-host a show on Tuesdays with Gary Cardone at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about Bitcoin. And usually there, I'm talking a lot more about it. I talk about ETF flows, the way in which these things work, and the RIAs, and what we're expecting in terms of flows, and what we expect that with price and stuff like that. And we get other great people on there as well, with a lot of good background. So if you're really interested in what's potentially going on with Bitcoin, and why it may be moving the way it is, there's no fluff. We don't blow any smoke up your rear end, and we even let people come up and speak there, so you guys can join in with that. All right.
Yeah,
so that'll be it.
That'd be fun.
All right. Yeah, definitely, man. Hey, show up, man. Show up. We'll pull you right up.
Cool.
Anyway, so yeah, guys, that'll do it. Like I said, as always, remember the only thing you control is how much you lose. So please keep working on that risk management. I hope y'all have an amazing day, amazing weekend. Y'all trade safe. And man, oh man, follow us and join us there. Join us there, Texas West Capital at members.texaswestcapital.com. Links underneath the video. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll get out of here.